Welcome to the Soul Spiral podcast. Conversations to allow your soul to up-level, grow, and expand your consciousness while having fun along the way. I'm your host, Kristin Edwards. Welcome back to the Soul Spiral podcast, and I am here again with my beautiful, loving, dear partner in love and life. In everything, including fasting.
Take two, baby.
Alex. Part 2 of our fasting adventure. So we have just completed our 21 days of water. If you haven't listened to part 1, you should jump back on and listen to part 1 before the fact. And now we are here after the fact and a week post fasting as well. So we've been eating for just a bit over a week. How are you feeling, my dear?
I'm feeling exceptional.
Amazing.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. Very good. Wow. There's a lot to reflect on, isn't there?
There always is.
Let's start with the question
Sure.
that maybe most people would be thinking. First of all, how is this fast different to your last fast?
Yeah, it was very different actually. Trying not to set any expectations at the start, although they're kind of already there because you've done it before and you're embarking on a long fast and you're kind of holding on to that a little bit, hoping that it's like somewhat similar. But it was completely different. My level of health, our level of health in general, was clearly much higher than the first time.
Definitely.
Because we didn't suffer anywhere near as much.
Yeah. We were definitely prepared for suffering again.
Yeah.
And there was still moments.
There's still definitely suffering.
Still moments, but nothing like we experienced last time. Like it doesn't even match up, I feel like, in terms of any level of suffering that we experienced this time as to what we went through last time. And it actually makes me realize how big last fast was. Like I definitely felt that after the last fast, but by doing this fast, it just, it was, like you were saying, there was so many expectations to manage.
Yeah. In life, it's always good to not have any expectations. But I think they were just kind of like by proxy, they were there because we just felt, okay, we've done a 30-day before, so we know what we're in for 21 days.
Yeah.
And we just weren't fully, that's not what happened. You know?
I think in the level of like how it felt physically, we were definitely prepared in a sense. But emotionally and how we felt was really different.
Yeah, what were some of the things that you went through?
Yeah, so I definitely had this big thing coming up about expectations because in my head I was like, we're going to be doing this like in our space. It's just us. It's going to be so like spiritual and like connected, and it was those things, but also it was really a level of just letting the F go because you just, it doesn't have to be something that you're like trying to create it to be. It's meant to be the way that it's playing out in a sense. And so, I think I had like all these expectations that you and I were going to like spend every day like meditating for 9 hours. Not that I actually thought that, but like I'd painted this like dream vision in my head. I'm going to meditate for 9 hours every day and we're going to just like, not that we did that last time either, but I don't know why. Like I just was like, we're going to be like monks coming out of this. And it just wasn't the case.
I'm definitely not a monk. You don't look like a monk.
No, neither of us have shaved our heads, if that's, in any way related to that. Even though we both considered
We
it.
did talk about it.
I considered it a lot in the last fast, and you
Yeah.
considered shaving your head a lot in this fast. But yeah, there was a lot of emotional stuff coming up for me. And there was also a big part of us realizing that we're really living the way that we want to live right now. So this fast isn't creating like this humongous change in our lives where we're going to turn our whole life around and get to experience the extreme of like a new beginning. And you and I kind of love that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so kind of coming to the realization that it wasn't going to be as big in that way. Obviously, it was in our own space. We were just here together. It wasn't like life didn't feel super different like it did last time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like last time it was a mission.
It was a mission.
I think that's a really valid point that you make, though, is that like fasting is an opportunity to reset.
Yeah.
It's a rebirth.
Yes.
Like a properly conducted extended water fast is
so much shedding.
Yeah, it's a form of rebirth. And
yeah.
For most people to go through that, they're going to come out the other side and they're going to want to change stuff in their life.
Yeah. And there are still things that we both want to change in our life coming out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they're more subtle tweaks rather than like changing our whole approach.
Yeah, it's not like a whole like angular shift in the trajectory of our life.
Yeah.
Whereas last time it kind of was.
Yeah.
And we actioned a lot of that, and now we're in that place.
Yeah.
And we've created this place. Now it's like, okay, there's just it's tweaks here and there.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really valid point that you make, is that a fast is a time when you can really stop.
Yes.
And think, whether you like to or not.
Yeah, your brain will think plenty.
Yeah, but you can plan.
Yeah, we had so much creative inspiration coming through for each of us that felt like we could integrate in our life quite easily. Whereas last time it was like, I have all these like goals and inspirations and we want to move states and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, they're all really big things to make happen. It felt almost like too far reaching.
Want to stop eating cooked food. And
yeah.
You know, all these big things, like they're big shifts.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of fasting, is that for most, I would say for most people, their first fast, they have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, you're going to, even the second fast probably as well.
Yeah, but that's coming back to what you were saying. It's like, it wasn't as a drastic, like, shifts feeling that are going to kind of happen.
Yeah, it wasn't as tumultuous.
Yeah.
Because last time, like, it was a real ride. Like,
yeah.
And I guess, like you were saying earlier, like, we had, like, a level of knowing kind of what our days were going to feel like. And the first week, like, we both kind of struggled to drop in a little bit to that, which is so normal because your brain is going nutso in the first week. It's like, can I do this? Can I do that? What about this? What about that? Let me think of all this creative inspiration. Let me think about food. Like, you know, and to...
Let me think about this. Oh my God, 20 days left.
Yeah, that's a big one.
17 days left.
Yes, let me count down the days.
Yeah.
Let's
Tomorrow
like think of milestones we can look forward to.
Yeah.
But then you like just once you hit that, like once I hit like 5 days or like 7 days, you just drop into another level of like, okay, this is how I'm living my life.
Acceptance.
Yeah, the acceptance. And like I definitely felt that come in, and to the point that like I remember I was like, we were on like day 15 and I was like, I don't only want to do 21 days. Like I just want to do this for longer. Come like the end of the fast, I was pretty much ready, very ready to be done.
Yeah.
But you just really get into this such a beautiful state of like beingness. And because our vitality felt more high than last time, like getting up to go to the toilet wasn't as hard, and even like, just getting up in general can be a big thing when you fast that first time and you're having a lot of symptoms. And like we both experienced some symptoms, but they shifted quite quickly. And like the biggest thing when I remember was so like when you were fasting for that long fast and you realized you were like, I need to go to the toilet. Okay, I'm going to have to psych myself up for like the next 5-10 minutes. Or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're peeing like 6 times in the night in that first fast. And every time you get up, you have to like use all the strength that you have to pull yourself sitting up in bed, and then like stop and breathe for a minute, and then like get up and then go to the toilet, and then probably you're going to wake up again in 2 hours to do the same thing. And that was actually such a hindrance in a way. Taxing, exactly. But that just wasn't the nature of this time around. Like, we both had days where we were detoxy and feeling weak or feeling that low blood pressure, and we're still very mindful to get up slowly so that we didn't experience like low blood pressure, like rush to our head or anything like that. But just to be able to get up in the morning and like even just like read a book some days, like we just couldn't do that last fast. It was just so much easier.
It just didn't happen.
Yeah. What were your key takeaways?
I was just thinking about that then. I think every fast will be different.
Yeah.
Every fast will be different, depending on where you're at in life.
Yeah.
Depending on how you've been living your life. Every fast will be different, and every fast will give you exactly what you need. And we were quite present for a lot of this fast, I thought. And for me, like coming out of this fast now, I'm conscious to not plan every single inch of my life. Coming out of the last fast, that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. This is how I'm going to do it, you know. And so
looking so far reaching into the future that you don't enjoy the present.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas now I'm like, there was a lot of manifesting.
Yeah.
And letting go.
Yeah.
And just being. And I'm really carrying that out now. And also listening to my body.
Yeah, listening to our bodies is definitely like been really, really key. Yeah. And it feels so nice to have like such that sense of clarity in the communication with yourself and like your choices and your food and things like that too. And like last time that was so big to us as well. Like when we came out, we were like, oh my gosh, like, but now it feels like we have that, but we also have way more compassion and acceptance for ourselves internally, which means then we have it more for other people. Because I definitely felt like coming out of Last of Us, I didn't have the same level of acceptance and compassion for myself or other people that I did this time around. I definitely noticed that.
Do you think that's partly because we've been living this way for a while now?
Yeah, I think that we try to embody that in our day-to-day life. And it's been really nice to like, you know what it is in a way though, like everything slows down when you're fasting. Like if you spoke to us like 2 weeks ago, we would have been probably talking at this pace and slowly moving around, and there's just like this gentle fragility that's like slow. And coming out of fast and then coming back into the world, and you start to sort of integrate being quicker again, I guess, in a sense.
Everything speeds up again.
Yeah, but there's also still this like remnants of that slowness. And when you have that slowness, you have more presence and you're able to recognize the gifts in the world around you as you experience them, rather than like being so go, 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 go that you don't even notice you're reacting until after you've reacted. I think the slowness of fasting really helps with that. Do you relate?
Yeah, you kind of you slow down to the pace of nature.
Yeah.
You know, I looked out the window this morning when we woke up and the palm trees are all just still there.
Yeah.
Exact same position they were a month ago. I feel like I've been shot to the moon and back on a freaking rocket.
Yeah.
You know, but the nature's still there.
Yeah.
Barely changed. And
there is that like neutrality that comes with nature in a sense. She blooms, she moves, but not in like a showy way. Like there's always this neutrality or this humbleness. And coming out of the fast, like last time I had such like big soaring crack heart open feelings of gratitude, and like it was big. Everything about last fast was big. But this fast, it was just like this reminder of simplicity.
And subtlety.
subtlety and simplicity, because like the true beauty that you can witness in simplicity is a beauty that we can witness every single day. It doesn't have to be this big showy thing. And I actually found that quite hard at the beginning when we broke our fast. Like I didn't have these like, I enjoyed what we were eating and I was loving it and it was still a beautiful experience, but I didn't have these like crack me open, F me up experiences. But I was having these like soft, gentle, neutral, simple, humble kind of experiences. And to be able to see the beauty in that and recognize the beauty in that allows you to see the subtleness and the beauty in seeing that within yourself. Because it's like when someone's truly humble and simple, like, is there anything really actually more beautiful? No.
It's more analogous to life.
Yeah.
Being in that state. You know, you talk to someone about meditation and they'll say, well, everything's just pretty standard.
Yeah.
We're just here.
Neutrality.
Being.
Yeah. And sometimes it's fun to have the big show and something big to look forward to. But also sometimes when we have the bigness, we have the lowness as well. And so like I experienced like on the weekend after when we broke our fast, I was experiencing like a lot of sadness and a lot of grief. And it's probably reflective from some stuff that's going on in my family life as well. But I was like, in that moment, I was like, oh, I'm feeling like this real sense of despair. And then I was like, oh, that means I get a high after this. I was like, once I figure this out and like, or once I feel this enough to let it move through me, I'm probably going to feel really joyful. Oh, that's really fun. And then you do that and then you move back to neutrality and life just feels peaceful again.
It's kind of an interesting insight into the nature of the mind.
Yeah. It makes me think about like the times that I suffered from like real despair or depression, and I have a lot of clients that, you know, can experience that too. And it's like the breadth of like the joy that they can experience on the other side of that, if you can feel it and let yourself move through it. Oh wow, that's so powerful. But then after that, the come down brings you to neutrality, and maybe sometimes we look for the despair so that we can experience those highs again. Or even if you like went for a high first and then you'd experience the despair afterwards. Is any better than the other? Really? It's just all different emotions and experiences.
Like Paul Ferrini says, don't try and understand why a certain experience is happening to you.
Just let it happen.
Just let it happen.
Yeah. Because when you're meant to. Yeah. Because when you're meant to know and understand it and see the gift in it, you will.
And everything's a gift.
It is.
The highs and the lows and the nothings.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I really feel like that sense of, like, how can I bring love into all those different experiences that we go through? Like, love is really just the answer to all of it. Like, that's what I feel like we got out of this fast. And we get out of every fast. And I feel that, like, that depth of connection with you even more, if that's possible, after this fast. Just like the oneness that love allows you to feel when you truly step into it.
And give it.
And give it. If you're feeling like you need love or you need something from someone else, how can you give love in a non-expectational way? Is that a word I just made up?
I think so.
And I experienced that during our fast too. Like there was a day I was like not feeling very good or happy, and I was like, oh, I wanted you to like do something for me, and I just wanted you to like show me love. But then I was like, why do I want you to show me love? Like, how can I give you love so that I can receive? And so I wrote you a poem.
So do you only give so you can receive?
No, but giving without giving from a place without expectations allows you to receive love as well. And that's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I think giving with the expectation of receiving is not the same thing.
No, not at all. You got to give without expectations, and giving from a place of just, I want to share love. Not from like, if I give love, they'll show me love, or if I give love, I'll be worthy, or if I give love, like, I'm doing the right thing as a human. How can we just give more love without expectations?
And give more love to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does self-love mean to you?
Self-love means to me loving all of me as I am, with all my little idiosyncrasies, whether they may be perceived as right or wrong in other people's eyes or even in my eyes in the past, and loving myself not just in despite of those things, but also because of them, because they're part of me, but also not being attached to what that looks like, and just allowing love to move through my being, and giving more love to myself in ways that just feel good, that my heart feels nourished. What does it mean to you?
It means having a understanding or a feeling of who I am and accepting that. Because when I accept who I am, that to me is self-love, because there's no judgment.
Yeah.
It's just me,
Yeah.
you know, and that I worked through some of that stuff during the fast. When I realized, it sounds so silly, but I'm lovable regardless of what I achieve in my life. And I mean, you hear someone say that, it's like, well, yeah, of course. But for me, my last 8 years of my life have been about achieving. I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that. Because when I achieve that, I'll be loved. And that's just not the truth. I'm loved without having to achieve anything, or without possessing anything. And I really felt that. This like, I felt that kind of integrate, you know, and now in the mornings I'm waking up and I'm visualizing earning a lot of money, and I'm also visualizing and streaming in self-love and reminding myself constantly that I'm lovable regardless of what I achieve.
Yeah.
And just, I'm lovable. And feeling that in a way that I haven't felt that before. I'm lovable. You know, this morning I got out of bed at 8:30 on a day when I'm working. That never happens. And I just was lying there and I was just thinking, like I'm lovable. I can do this. I can stay in bed longer than I normally do. And
Yeah.
I know that sounds so trivial, but you know, it's just something that I need to constantly remind myself of and feel into.
Yeah.
So it becomes completely embodied. So self-love for me is acceptance of who I am and my flaws. Or they're not even flaws, it's just me, you know, and being okay with that. You know, we had a conversation with a friend yesterday and we're talking about money consciousness and whatnot. And like, part of me likes having nice things. I know that that doesn't make me more lovable or less lovable, but I'm still going to love my part of myself that likes that stuff. I'm not going to try and push it away because on some higher level it doesn't matter, which I know it doesn't matter. But it's still a part of my psyche, and you know, so it's just acceptance.
That's really you loving without expectations right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
because you're not putting any judgment into the condition of how you love.
That's right. So, yeah, it's an acceptance and just a real deep acceptance of who I am and where I'm at, and not feeling the need to change everything all the time like I felt for the last 8-10 years.
And so did you experience any of those realizations in your last fast? Because, I had a lot of realizations around that sort of stuff in the last fast, whereas this one for me was a little bit different, which I'm sure we'll get into in a minute. But did you experience any of that revelation about self-love in the last fast?
I connected in with my inner love, like sense of love that I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of deepened this time in a different way.
I think you put it so eloquently. It's really beautiful, and I really feel the way that you have been showing up in our partnership in the lead up to this fast really allowed that to culminate, because I really have noticed a shift in you in the last 6 months before our fast even.
What were some of the things that you worked through emotionally in this fast?
The biggest thing that was coming up for me was at the beginning of the fast, I was having a lot of, it probably all still comes back into self-love at the end of the day. I mean, it all does, doesn't it? But I had this real sense of feeling like it was like I was doing the wrong thing. Like there was an authority figure there, whether that's inside or outside me, that was perceiving or judging what I was doing to be right or wrong. And then that was not allowing me to feel courageous in the expression of just being me. And I used to always say, like, I'm worthy of love, but I don't even need to say I'm worthy of love, because my true self is just eloquently worthy of love. So all I need to be is my true self. And that will be inherently worthy of love. And so the biggest thing that was coming up for me was being able to feel that I could express that true self and not hide away any part of myself, and actually allow myself to be seen. And a friend said to me yesterday that she feels I actually do show my true self really well. And I think I do too, but I also feel like it's actually been a lot of effort for me to show up as my true self in moments. And often I'll show up as my true self and then question myself afterwards or judge myself afterwards. So the big kind of takeaway that I was receiving is that I want to be me. And all the little niggles and all the little things that like I've always said I wanted to do, but I never done because I'm like, oh, but what if someone thinks I'm wrong when I do that? Or what if someone says this to me? Or like all this like judgment kind of coming in. Like, fuck it off. I'm just gonna be me. And on Monday, that might look like a witchy water witch. And on Friday, that might look like a boss ass business bitch. I didn't mean to be throwing out some slam poetry around here, but yeah, that was a really big revelation for me, is that it's okay to be seen, and my true self is my best self. So why not be her all the time? And like you were saying, like there was levels of the self-love that you'd experience, but for me in this fast, like it was just a new level of, I don't need to try to be vulnerable. I don't need to try to like show like my heart and show who I am. Why am I trying? Like just be me. Like, and that's okay. However that looks.
Was there a fear around being you? Like you said, because people would say, oh, what about this? Or what about
that? I think I made quite a few links into me feeling, like a comparison, fear of being seen, fear of my own success, fear of failure, like all of those sorts of things. And also like always having to pen, like, again, that expectation, like if I show myself, then will I be successful? Or if I do this, will then I fail? Like I'm putting an expectation on whether it's a positive or a negative spin. So how can I just show up as me in moment to moment and that be enough? Because I am enough as I am.
Mm. And how has the fast helped you integrate that?
Well, I think the whole thing that I was talking about with the expectations at the start actually really allowed me to let go. And when I came out of my fast and I experienced this neutrality and I was not feeling like super happy, to realize that that's okay. And by that experience happening, it made me realize that my inner child was feeling a little bit undernourished. And so we went out.
It.
Yeah.
Sorry,
You
I
know.
couldn't resist.
So we went out and I bought a My Little Pony and a coloring book, because I would never have been, I would have been so afraid to admit that even like a year ago, you know, or even like probably before the fast. I wouldn't want to tell people I like coloring in, but if that's what my inner child wants, that's what she freaking gets. And that's perfect that I like unicorns and rainbows. Like, that's just something that I come back to, and it's just part of me. Like, I don't want to hide any part of myself anymore. And there are still parts of me that I will keep private and keep for myself, but I don't want to be saying like not showing up as all of me because I'm afraid of what other people will think of me.
I love what you just said. I don't want to hide any parts of myself anymore.
No. I'm here. This is me. I'm silly, I'm quirky, I'm beautiful, I'm me, I'm whatever I am, I'm spiritual, I'm, you know, that astrology obsessed chick that likes fairies and mermaids and also likes playing in the dirt and also trying to make money. Why can't I just be all of those things? And so I really feel like this fast allowed me to integrate all these different facets of my being that I have, that it's okay that I have so many different facets of my being, and I don't have to just be one niche type of person that only lets her friends she only tells her friends secretly that she likes playing The Sims. Or just all of those sorts of things. Like, I'm giving myself the permission to be me, and I give you the permission to be you, and I want everyone else to have the permission to just be whoever they are in each moment. Like, fuck what anyone else thinks.
There's so much power in that.
Yeah. It makes me, I'm just so happy. And the other thing that was really big for me this fast was not what I expected, was this like real deep connection with my ancestry. Just coming through in visions and in dreams, and it was really beautiful, and I have every piece of grace for offering that. And also I think that has come because I've allowed myself to just accept all the different parts of me. Yeah.
The good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful.
It's all beautiful, baby.
Yeah. It's all in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
Yeah. So to step off the emotional and esoteric mark and to ask a bit more physicality stuff, shall we talk a little bit about our eliminations and experiences, and also maybe some parts that we learned through fasting?
How many enemas did you do?
I think I did 1 a week.
Yeah.
Like,
I think maybe you did 4 during the fast.
4 during the fast. Yeah. And like, just to reiterate, if you haven't listened to much about other stuff before about fasting, like just talking about the different stages of 3 days we hit like a new level of ketosis. Day 10 it goes deeper, and then day 20 it kind of like ends up going deeper because you've been in that process for a longer period of time. And so the last time we fasted for 30 days, it felt much deeper, especially towards the end. But this time our vitality was feeling a lot better, and our ketosis level, like the amount of ketosis time that we had, was actually a bit less. So we feel like our bounce back has been quicker. But also, even if we fasted for longer, I don't think you totally could have fasted for a lot longer, because Alex is very low body fat post fasting, obviously, and before as well. What body fat are you at now,
Oh,
Alex?
well, I went in with 6%, and
Yeah.
now I'm currently 3%.
And I went in at 29%, and I'm now 24. We already put a kilo of muscle on each within the first week back. We hiked a friggin' mountain on day 7.
That was huge. Yeah.
We were working out. We were feeling good, and it's just continued feeling that way. We were reading some content by Arnold Ehret. Really enjoyed his learnings and all the experiments and things like that he's done himself. So if you are interested in fasting, or even, you know, eating a little of a different diet, or learning more about the human body, he's a wizard.
Yeah.
He's very good.
It's good to read those kind of books when you're fasting.
Yeah, because it just kind of goes in the right way.
Rational Fasting is a good book by him. The Mucusless Healing System is another good book by him.
So yeah, we read those books whilst we were fasting.
Yeah.
And the last fast that we didn't do enemas, based on the directive of the person that we were fasting with, that was totally in alignment at that time. But this fast we decided to do enemas, partly based on us wanting to experiment and see what happens, partly based on Arnold Ehret's teachings. So yeah, we both did just water only enemas, maybe every 3 to 4 days. How many enemas did you do?
I think I did 4 as well.
4. Yeah, so kind of like every sort of 4 to 5 days we did 1-ish. And some of the stuff that was coming out of us during that enema, those enemas, was very interesting, to say the least.
It's particularly interesting because if you talk to fasting experts, they'll say, well, you've already fasted 30 days. You've been living on 80% fruits.
Yeah. And then raw vegan.
Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 80% fruits and the rest still raw vegan for a year. So there's a degree of kind of cleanliness within the body, which is why our vitality was
And based on our age as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm 28 or 30.
Yeah.
However, there's, we were fasting because we knew that there was high levels of health to be achieved, and that was reflected in the stuff that was being evacuated. There was no ejaculating happening during the fast. Evacuated during our enemas. Every enema that we did, there was mucus coming out.
Yep.
There was orangey mucus-looking stuff.
Yep.
The
Both
last
of us.
enema I did was like darker than the darkest espresso coffee. It was black with white froth and mucus, and it smelt abhorrent.
Yeah, it was like, smelled disgusting, all the things that were leaving our bodies. And
how did you feel after doing those enemas?
Well, it was interesting. Like, I would notice that I was maybe like finding it a little bit hard to sleep, or I was going to the toilet more when I felt that I was like needing to do an enema. And so then the next day I would feel better in a sense after the enema, but I also am a little bit traumatized. I don't know if I'm like just holding a lot of emotions in my colon, or I find it quite a jarring experience. And that's not to say that I haven't done them before or done colonics before, but I think it's also like there's an uncomfortability that happens for me where I almost feel like I am sick like when I was younger, like, and it makes me feel like a bit nauseous, and like there's I feel it as like discomfort in my belly, and so yeah, I was a bit emotional through those enemas. Alex was there holding my hand, but then afterwards you kind of like, if you feel like, whoa, something, especially on that like the last one during the fast, I was like, did something just leave me that's like a demon.
The devil.
But like, yeah, it was crazy, like full on in that sort of sense. I definitely found like a really nice, like a warmth to the water made it much easier for me. And did you ask me something else as well? No, I'm just rambling then.
Yep.
How did you feel after your enemas?
Yeah, I felt good. I think it's worth like unpacking what you said about it felt like a demon left you, because the food, the old food and the old stuff that stays inside our system, it holds memory and it holds energy and emotion. And so that's why when people do colonics and they do enemas, they often feel quite alive afterwards, because things have left them that have been in them, sucking energy, sucking hydration for years.
Yes.
And so when it comes out, you're like, oh, like I really do feel like some sort of spirit just left me.
Yeah.
Because it's been in you for God knows how long, potentially.
And especially when you're doing like the water only fasting, you're really, as you're rehydrating things, your body has a chance to cleanse and heal itself, and you're releasing old toxins into your bloodstream and into your colon and into your kidneys and into your bladder and all that sort of stuff. So by allowing an elimination to occur, perhaps you make way for the body to like not have to worry about that. There's a level of it needing to build bacteria back up in the gut, which is why we space them out so much, rather than doing one every day. That was just our personal choice based off what we know and feel to be in alignment.
Well, we were just intuiting when we need to do one.
Yeah, exactly.
We weren't forcing it.
No. And then you did a enema during refeeding?
Yeah, I think it was on like day 4 or 5. You had a bowel movement and I hadn't.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad I did that. That was like probably the best enema I've ever done, and I've done a lot. And yeah, there were like some big hard kind of pellets come out, and then just like 4 massive bowel movements of like a lot of it was fruit toward the end. But prior to that, there was some horrible stuff coming out. Yeah. And for me, like the enemas this time doing them, once you get that stuff out, it's like, well, my body would just going to sit inside me for the next however many days. You know, like especially those first couple enemas, the stuff that came out, it's like that would have been there for another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just being slowly reabsorbed into my bloodstream, making me feel like shit. And so it was really, for me, it made a big difference to the fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I eliminated without an enema on day 4, quite a big elimination.
Of refeeding.
Of refeeding, yes. That was like very dark, very old stuff, like, yeah, gross. And then I kind of didn't really eliminate that much I went a little bit over the next 2 days, but it didn't feel like I was really releasing. So I think I decided I did an enema on day 7 of refeeding. I actually had gone to the toilet in the morning, and then I did that, and I still had old stuff coming out of me, like a lot of fruit, but also old stuff, and it smelled like a farm. So yeah, both of us are feeling like we've made the right choice on the way that we approach this, and yeah, feeling really, really good. And I don't know, would we have been able to hype Mount Coolum on Wednesday if I hadn't done that enema? Because you just like have more space to have more energy for other things.
Yeah.
I don't know how often I'll do them in the future. It's more kind of a fasting or a detoxing sort of thing for me.
Yeah, I think they're a tool, you know, and I think we use the tool really well. We intuited it, and just like there's that theme coming out of this fast of really listening to the body.
Yeah.
I mean, we're eating less than we were after fasting last time, feeling better, and we intuited that with the enemas as well, and they're a really good tool. And if you're feeling backed up, or you have a headache, or you have anything like that, which we won't, but they're a really good tool for dealing with those sort of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we navigated that quite well.
So to maybe we'll finish up.
Wrap her up,
baby. What would be one reflection or like a key reflection that you'd like to share, or even based off what I've said around this, and yeah, like what's your summary of how you felt in your reflection?
My summary of how I felt through the fast is I'm feeling more present. I'm feeling more connected with myself. I'm feeling more love. And for me, those are the signatures of any water fast.
Yeah.
I'm feeling them deeper now. However, you know, if I was to say anything to anyone about fasting is the most powerful way to heal the body. It's not the easiest.
No.
But it's the most powerful. And fasting and eating mostly fruits is how we get to experience the highest levels of health. That I know to be true. And to get to that point may not be easy. It might take years. It took me years. It took us years to get there. But I'm just such an advocate for it now, especially having done 2 extended water fasts. It's just unequivocal to me that that's how we heal the human body.
Yeah.
And that's how we experience the highest level of health. And it's not just like I had one experience and it was great and then the second time was shit and it didn't work. It's like, no, it's just so clear. And I'm very grateful to have been in a position to be able to do that in my life and to experience that. And I hope that for anyone listening, they're inspired enough to want to learn more and experience some of what fasting and what eating fruits has to offer. And I'm feeling, even though I've got a lot of strength to build, I'm feeling clearer than I ever have before. I still have so much to learn in my life. I'm still so young, but I'm feeling amazing. And I'm so stoked that I did it, and I'm so stoked that I did it with you. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, I'm feeling good. How about you? How are you feeling? And what would you share to summarize?
The connection with yourself and your heart and your truth that fasting brings. It's like you're going to take everything away from your food and your consumption and see what you're left with, and being able to accept and find the beauty in that. There's no other experience that could really, truly offer that. I'm sure there are other things that come close in different ways. But to really be able to experience that whilst honouring and healing your physiology and your physical body, that's just so, so powerful. And there's so much power in finding that trueness within ourselves. And yeah, I agree with Alex. Like, if something in you're listening to this and you're like, I want to fast, just give it a go. Like, and it doesn't mean you need to come and do 30 days like we did. It's like 3 days, 5 days, even starting with 1. Like, every little bit is a build up. And one of the things that I really realize is through my experience of healing my body into the first fast and then coming out of that and eating fruit, I really transitioned my body over like 5 years of like playing with fasting, cleaning up my diet each time, and bit by bit by bit. When I had that water fast, it was huge, but I was also so ready for it. And by doing it in that way, when I came out of it, I was able to sustain such a different level of vitality and health. And now being able to take that to another level is really amazing. And from everything that I have learned and researched and experienced through speaking to others and doing my own scientific research and through my own physical experience, I believe that fasting and fruit is just so important to our health. And I'm so glad I read Arnold Ehret and I'm so thankful for your support and getting to do this with you. And I'm also so thankful for the level of support that our families have offered to us through this, because we are those crazy children that our parents probably could be like, if they weren't so open and accepting, be like, what are they doing? And I'm just so, so grateful for, the family that we have around us. We've really cultivated so much love in our lives and continue to do so. And in this moment, I feel peaceful, inspired, clear, loved, grateful, and excited for the future.
I love that. And a very quick shout out to some of our close friends up here who helped us out through the fast.
Oh my gosh, Hannah and Laura and Ben, we love you, love you, love you, love you, love you so much. They came and cleaned our house and cared for us and did our washing, and it would have been very hard without them. So very, very deepest gratitude.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining me again, Alex. I hope everyone has enjoyed this episode today. Maybe next time we'll have a bit of a different episode style since the fasting is done for now. Woohoo!
What's for dinner?
I think it's bananas and lettuce.
Bananas and lettuce, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's bananas and lettuce. Yeah. And
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. You've been listening to another awesome conversation with the Soul Spiral podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe and share this with a friend that you feel might benefit. All of our socials and contact is in the show notes, including anything referenced today. Have a beautiful day spiraling with your soul.